Thank you all for joining us today, and I'm sure you've heard me talk the whole day today, so I'm going to give the microphone to Ren and Connor, who's going to share a lot of insightful information on Convert and educational campaigns and upsell campaigns and what kind of results we've seen with those. So with that said, let me just quickly... I'm going to do a quick intro. So we have Ren here with us from TUSHY. She's the Senior Director of Customer Experience at TUSHY. And we have Connor here with us from Gorgias, Customer Success Manager of Convert, and of course, Thomas, VP of Product. So today we're going to be talking about why education matters and some of the key elements of educational campaigns and how we align education with upselling products and, of course, future of AI in the context of Convert. So if you have any questions, feel free to scan this and just kind of ask away using this. I'll keep monitoring it and see if it makes sense to address them right away, or we can wait till the end to get them answered. But I'll pass the microphone over to Ren to do a brief introduction for herself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ren. I lead customer experience at TUSHY, a modern bidet attachment company. I joined TUSHY a little over 4 years ago in March of 2020. If any of you live in the US, you might recall the toilet paper shortage that allowed for mass adoption of bidets in the US and what was undoubtedly the biggest shit show I've ever lived through. But I'm here to share some of my learnings of what that looks like from growing from a very small team to a larger team overnight and the tools that have made it potable and doable. I lead everything on the customer experience side, from the customer journey, everything that's coming in across all channels. I'm less involved in the marketing side, but as you all know, as CXers, we are the hub of the wheel, so without our learnings, they can't do what they do. So yeah, excited to share with you all.
So in your space, why do you think education is so crucial, not just in the context of Convert and on-site campaigns, but overall for any brand?
Yeah, so for us, we are selling a product that by and large is wholly unknown in North America. We literally get voicemails from people like, I need this thingamabobby, it's a bad debt, I don't know, I just need it, right? So in the rest of the world, washing your full body with water is the norm. In North America, we've skipped this, and there's a huge job to explain to people why they need it. And so there's certain things that we think, oh, it's a barrier because of its installation, or it's, does it deliver to their weird PO box? Really, it's people have lived their whole lives, and they don't know that the practices that they engage in the bathroom are totally barbaric. And we've had customers that have converted at the age of 101 after visiting Japan for their 100th birthday. So they all know how to use credit cards, purchase, but why should I change my habits that are working for me? And so it's trying to inject education at every point of what is the value prop? Why do you need to change your lifestyle? And how can you enjoy life more? I can tell you 100 reasons why, but oftentimes, we're pushing up against taboos, misconceptions, and teaching people and instilling trust. That builds loyalty, right? We don't need to be sell, baby, sell. And I think it's trying to put ourselves in contact with our customers so that we can teach them. Our marketers, all of your marketers are working their asses off to drive people to your website. The last thing that we want to do is cut ourselves off from the customer. And what we see is through these educational touch points, not just saying, here's a discount code, buy. It's actually, no, tell me more. This is not TMI. TUSHY can help you in all of these ways. And that's what we've seen has been the greatest driver to evangelize the masses into washing their asses.
Apparently I have to use a microphone too. So in your opinion, obviously a metric like return rate is something that you don't necessarily make the connections with the attribution of revenue, direct revenue, but I think return rate is a huge metric that all of us look at. And what did it mean for you in terms of educational campaign? Did you see it go down at all for certain products that you leverage educational campaigns for?
Yeah, that's one of the top metrics I track. We're all like, sales, sales, sales. Money in doesn't necessarily stay in if you have a return policy that's active, right? And so for us, one of the greatest things is, this isn't compatible with my toilet. that's cool. You're not a plumber. I come from a 4th-generation plumbing family. I can walk you through it. We're compatible with 99.9% of toilets, right? And so looking at the different return motives and then saying, where can I inject education around this point? It's not compatible. We built a toilet compatibility checker. I can tell you like 500 different models in the US alone, whether they will or won't pair with Tushy, what extra spare parts do you need if you have like a weird setup? And so it's these kind of things that we've realized work. And certain things like, okay, every installation motive for return, we're gonna talk to each one of those people. And it's like, that does not make sense on a scalability level, but it keeps money in your pocket. And those people that had a frustrating experience, when they talk to my team, when they get on a video call with my team, you know, Lisa in the Philippines, who's on a call talking about the cat that walked into the bathroom, and then you might be installing, but really you're talking to a bidet concierge and teaching them like, okay, wait, so like, we got this installed, but like, what do I do afterwards when I'm all wet? You're like, you pat yourself dry. But these are like real questions. That used to be our top question. How do I dry myself? Like, oh my God, what are these people doing when they get out of the shower? Like, what? But it's these kind of questions that it's like, okay, it might seem silly, you can deflect this, but like those are the touch points, and you get on the phone with somebody and it's about that, and you end up talking about like, oh, AOC's like my rep. Oh, it's mine too. Oh my God. Oh, you have a puppy, I can hear it barking in the background. Like, oh God, my dog's barking. It's like, that is a valuable touch point, and people feel bought in. They talk to LN on the phone. Now they're like, LN's the best. She had my back. And like that builds loyalty. And then they tell all their friends about it. And I am like #1 advocate, word of mouth. When people have positive experiences, they tell their friends. They don't need to leave a positive review. I just need them to tell all their friends and come to use it at their house. And yeah, talk to us later.
So we're going to move on to the next question. What are some of the key elements of educational campaigns? And I'm going to let Connor go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'm on the success team here. My job day in and day out is helping folks who want to use campaigns set them up effectively. So I've been a part of probably 150 brainstorm sessions in the last 90 days or so. So I've seen quite a few strategies. I've seen ones that stick and ones that don't. What I can tell you is that one of the most effective kind of core tenets of a campaign is starting by targeting what you know to be the pre-sale friction points. So it sounds simple. I think there's a misconception where sales is about convincing. Oftentimes it's about addressing concerns. It's answering questions. Anybody in the room who's using a help desk, they're using Gorgias, you know what those questions are. You have a whole library of historical tickets. I would urge you to look at those, read through, especially in the product category, in the pre-sale tag category. Find out why people are hesitant. These could be your cart abandonment reasons. I hear all the time that people are wondering, why are people leaving? Why are they abandoning cart? A lot of times they had a question that didn't get answered. So if we know what those questions are and we address them proactively with campaigns, it can make a huge difference on conversion and also, as Ren was mentioning, on the return rate as well. So it helps keep money in. On the right-hand side, I'm going to skip over the middle one for now, but on the right-hand side, we have optimize for timely messaging. So another one that seems a little bit obvious at face value, but this is oftentimes overlooked. So if we're going to have a campaign on the website and we want people to actually read it and feel compelled to engage with it, timing is everything. If it's right away, people are all used to that experience with pop-ups. It's not really what we're trying to curate. It's not the experience we're trying to service. What we want to do is figure out what's the point in time where someone is most likely going to have a message resonate with them. And if you can look at your analytics, you can target what the average site traffic spend is on a particular page. That's the sweet spot you want to shoot for. Anything less and you risk not having the message or the PDP really sink in. Any longer and you might have missed the moment, the ship has sailed. So I would urge everybody to look at their averages and really try to factor that into the campaign creation. In the middle, the reason I skipped this, it's not really a strategy. It's more of an accelerant or a multiplier to the effectiveness of these campaigns that you'd create. And it's actually encouraging and supporting real-time conversations. I know it's a little bit controversial. It's something in the world of support we're oftentimes trying to move away from. We're thinking about how can I get support tickets off my plate. This is a little bit different. We're trying to have the conversations that are a little bit more involved. They are sales-oriented. Getting in front with somebody real time and answering these concerns that they have is still, to this day, the top performing category of campaign that we see. And that's against discounting, which cuts into margins. This is a free way that you can actually boost conversion. And it's as easy as encouraging real-time chats. So if you're going to set up campaigns, make sure that they're timely. Make sure that you're actually giving people the opportunity to chat to the team in one way or another. If you don't have the bandwidth to be real-time, it's okay. Just make sure that they feel supported. And finally, take a look at your analytics, what you already know. You capture that data, and you should leverage it to kind of close that loop on the campaigns that you are creating.
Yeah, and I'll speak a little bit, giving some examples of how we use this. So pre-sale friction points, like you're on the toilet compatibility checker and you're like, I don't know my toilet model. Like what? That's where we pop up. Like, give us a phone call. Here's our WhatsApp. Like, keep us in your back pocket. Like, how can I help you? I know you're totally overwhelmed. Like, let's cut through the crap and like, what do you need to know? Real-time conversations, like it blows my mind. Like our chat CSAT score consistently like 4.9 versus email, which is usually like 4.6, 4.7. But like there's people fall in love with Tushy through these real-time conversations. And oftentimes when I look at that, I was like, wow, how did that convert? Like this is insane. They're not saying sell baby. They're not selling it to them. They're just like, okay, I'm a woman. Do I even need this? You guys talk about poop all the time. Like, talk to me about like my time of the month. Actually, and they're having these just meaningful conversations similar to what you might have with a friend or a doctor. We talk to everyone like our best friend. And that is what drives people to consider making this life switch. And then the last one, yeah, timely messaging. So we don't have pop-ups on the homepage. Like we want you to have the insertion at the right moment. So you're on our classic page, which is our entry-level analog 1-temp bidet. Great. Did you know you could get hot water? So like they've been on the page for a little bit, pop that up. Oh, I didn't even know you guys had a hot water model because I came to this from a Facebook ad. I thought you just did this one thing. You get to the spa page. Hot water's great. Did you know you could get a heated seat? Wait, what? I thought Toto was the only one that did this. Holy crap, like you guys do this? And so it's inserting information when they're ready for it, not cramming it down their throats. Because for us, it's taking into account, this is already a huge life switch. I don't know if any of you guys remember what it was like to get a cell phone, but it was like, no, like don't need a cell phone, like don't need that. You can live without a cell phone, but when you made that switch, you're like, okay, but it might have taken a long time. There's other more newfangled things, maybe seatbelts in the 70s, but this is that, and it takes people, bopped on the head many times, and so providing that support, not in like a gimmicky, salesy way, but like, we want everyone to enjoy a bidet. Ideally, it's a tushy, but like, if you're not washing your ass, like you are less healthy, you are less happy, and you're spending more money on toilet paper than anyone needs to spend, so.
Who here has a tushy or a bidet? Oh my God, actually.
Getting there.
I have one and I hate traveling because I wish I missed my tushy in a different country. So I actually wanted to kind of quickly walk you through some of the impact that we've seen with educational campaigns specifically. And what was remarkable is that for the engagement rate, it was much higher than any other campaigns we've seen, like upsell or even, exit intent campaign. And the engagement rate was at 9%, which is obviously, and I written down the benchmarks here so you can kind of gauge like what percentage am I aiming for and how convert campaigns exceeded that. So engagement rate 9%, tickets converted, typically we see about like 5 to 20% conversion rate, but with educational campaigns 31%. And for total conversion rate 12.52, which is again exceeds the benchmark of 3 to 9%. And I really wanted to highlight this because typically educational campaigns, you're like, oh, how well could it perform? But when you see the stats, it's just like that's how shoppers want to engage with brands that way. They don't want to be just like outright be sold, but they just want to understand like, okay, how does your product work? Can I instill some trust in your brand? Like, what are other people saying about it? So please leverage it, really educate people. And one question is like, have you seen a really interesting educational campaign strategy? I feel like Connor might have seen an interesting one from existing brands, but like anything out of the ordinary, something unique?
Yeah, something that surprised me was leaning into specific targeted questions is so much more successful in getting people to respond. And so I saw a bunch of campaigns and we're scratching our head. I had been trained. I thought the educational campaigns were the way to go. I was advocating for them. And there was not a lot of responses. And it turns out we were just asking, let us know if you have any questions, here's the chat. And that's not really compelling people to ask their questions, even if they did have some. So figuring out, what is the specific concern and stabbing at it and kind of poking that bear a little bit. If they feel that resonates with them, they're much more inclined to respond. even if it's somewhat of a negative. So let's say you have a linen jacket, you're like worried if this is going to itch at your wedding, we'll talk you through it. What are the care instructions? Is it going to wrinkle? Those are maybe not positive associations with that product, but they're real concerns that people have. And taking a stab at those concerns, we saw a huge jump in the actual response rate. So I'd say just, again, be specific, lean into the knowledge you have about your customers. That's your expertise, and it's been really successful.
Yeah. I think we all know the misunderstandings around our product. Ours, for one, is aren't I going to spackle my bathroom with shit? And it's no, it's gravity. But it's we haven't gone there yet, but that's you put in people's face, what is your greatest fear? Don't worry. That's a misunderstanding. This is how it works.
And I feel like for cosmetic brands especially, educational campaigns work so well. And when they direct people to oh, what kind of shade do you want? What is this for? Is it for blemishes or this? And it's a no-brainer for sure. So we're going to move on to upselling. So how can we align education with upselling, and how can they complement each other?
Yeah, I think it depends on your product portfolio. For us, kind of what I touched on before, if you have clear value tiers, people are coming to your product maybe the first time. For us, we have a wide range and many more coming this year. But they might want to start with the classic, our entry-level analog model. They're probably not going to start out with our electric bidet, the Ace, because they've never tried this before. It's a bigger purchase. So it's figuring out okay, which Tushy is right for me. Start with the classic, but then it's educating there's a myriad of information on our site. Everything that you need you can find, but we know people's attention span is this long, right? It's not for nothing that New York Times is making videos of their articles now, right? So people want to know which one's right for me. Start with the classic, and then you can inject these moments of what is the difference between the classic and the spa? Okay, there's charts, there's all this, but it's really warm water. Oh, cool. Do you have can you connect with your sink? If you've got that, I would definitely get the spa. What is the difference between the spa and the Ace? Heated seat. You guys that live in Canada, nothing better than that. Blow dryer, all of these things. But it's trying to just put in people's face, what do you need to know? And then you can follow up with all this other stuff. But oftentimes, especially with cosmetic skincare, it's I've heard great things about this brand, but there's 27 products that all look kind of the same. I can take a quiz, I can take a survey, but what are the questions that people are asking you day in, day out? Where can you insert that in the customer journey to be I already know what you're thinking, start with this, and then move to that.
Yeah, so we also just wanted to highlight visually, because we've been doing a lot of talking here, about what these campaigns actually look like on the site, and we drew from Tushy's team specifically. So over here on the left-hand side, we have a campaign that's going to go to upsell a slightly more luxury version of their base product when somebody's already on the base product's PDP. So it's giving that real-time side-by-side comparison. It's not hitting you over the head with, hey, we saw you bought this, you might like that. It's letting them make the choice for themselves while tactfully highlighting the benefits. Here in the middle, we have an interesting one that actually targets past purchasing behavior. So Harley was on screen earlier talking about that kind of wow moment he had when he went into a store. They knew what somehow he had purchased from a whole nother location, and they offered a new product that they thought might resonate with him based on that previous buying experience. This is basically the digitized version of that. So when you re-hit the website, we're taking into account your Shopify history. We know if you're somebody that's already bought a core product with Tushy, you've bought the bidet, you are probably going to be in need of this supplementary product, and that's the recommendation that we're making. It also provides a bit of an aha kind of wow moment where people are surprised and impressed with what you know about them as a repeat visitor. And then finally on the right-hand side, if I can see through the glare, I think this is more of a traditional cross-sell. So what we're doing is recommending a ancillary product when they're looking at another higher ticket product. Luxury towels, it's not something that's going to be right for everyone. It is a little bit of a more upmarket item. And so we're looking only to position this when somebody's on the higher end bidet. We know that this is somebody with a little bit more spend in their wallet. We want to target them with a luxury product that suits that demographic. And these are all from Ren's team, so won't take credit there.
Yeah, and if we look at the middle one, it's an aha moment for the customer too. So they've purchased with us, they don't subscribe to toilet paper, and this is calling out hey, have you noticed the radical reduction in how much toilet paper you're buying and using? That's great news for the planet, for forest, for your wallet. That's the most expensive consumer good, and you're literally flushing it down the toilet. let's take the next step. Did you know we make sustainable toilet paper from bamboo, and you could be even more sustainable and lean into that? Because that's what we've heard a lot from our customers. They're like, I never even thought about like my consumption habits in the bathroom, but when I got Tushy and I realized I was doing this, like then I thought about shampoo and conditioner bottles, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to make the switch to bar shampoo and conditioner. And so it's like tapping people at the right moment, being like, you're on the right path. Did you know you could go further? And you already know that you enjoy our product. Like, try out our toilet paper. Like, you might be nicely surprised. And to push our values of sustainability too, right? You might have come to us because we're like fun, cheeky brand. You see us on Instagram all the time. It's what the hip kids are doing. But like, I work here because I want the planet to be a happy place and all of our children to have a forest to walk through in the future. And if we keep wiping our butts with big TP, like that won't be a probability. So
I actually have a question here. So how do you bridge the gap between your assumed educational topics versus what the customer wants to know or how they think about your product? Customer surveys, question mark?
Yeah, I think we all have a lot of ideas about what our customers want to know. And I think for us, different from, say you're selling t-shirts, the questions might be very different, right? What are the preconceived notions? And so like my team is based in the Philippines by and large, where they grow up washing their bodies, their full bodies with water. They use, most of them don't have bidets, they use what's called a tabo. It's like a bucket with a scoop. And when they start working at Tushy, they're like, why does every American ask how to dry themselves? Like, what? We thought we were going to be talking about installation and selling. And so this is where, sorry, repeat the question.
How do you bridge the gap between assumed educational versus what the customer wants?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at, we are huge fans of ticket fields in Gorgias, and we track every question that comes in. What was the contact reason? What was the secondary contact reason? I do a weekly report that I share out with the full company. Similar to tags, ticket fields are compulsory. So every puru, that's what we call our agents, the poop gurus, they have to say what people are asking about. And for a long time, we thought it was, oh, we think it's this, because this is what we see on social media. But the way that people interact on social media is wildly different from the way they react or the questions they ask in email, chat, et cetera. So it's really looking to our customer base. What are they actually asking us? Like, don't make assumptions. Ask your customers. You can set up lots of things too, like in your CSAT reviews, like add other questions, like what did we not talk about? You know, we have this beautiful position where we are the only ones at the company that are actually directly speaking with our customers. And so, you know, your marketing teams are spending a ton of money to get them on site. Ask them, talk to them, you know, like you're on the phone with them. Like sometimes I'm on the phone for 10 minutes. Like, what else could we be doing? Like, we're a teensy company, like we want to serve you. And so it's asking your customers, it's inspecting the data that you have and learning how to get into this flow and mastering data. Like, I love to be data driven, but I am a very squeaky wheel, but there's things that I advocated for years. And within 3 weeks' time, by monitoring it and sharing the data, that like our top question is where are spare parts on our website? Well, what are we doing now? We're reorganizing the website from a merchandising perspective to make those not at the bottom that people are, you know, there was a concern before like, oh, this might make people think it's too hard to install. But now we see like people are spending lots of money and they don't have to ask us when they can find it. So it's really just listening, but figuring out the tools that you can listen well.
I would also throw out, you get another chance at it if you track your return reasons. So
Yes,
if you know that somebody returned, let's say a Tushy, because it didn't fit their bathroom, that might give a clue into what kind of things you'd want to educate around moving forward as well.
Yeah, for like Amazon, that you guys, if you work with Amazon, you know you don't have a lot of touch points with the customer. And so on Amazon, it was like our number one product that was returned was a Tushy spa that you have to hook up to a sink. And so what did we do? It was like, okay, this is maybe not going to look the sexiest, but we need assets that show that poly hose connection to the sink. So we did a photo shoot. Like when we shared that data, it was like, okay, we have a shootable bathroom. Like, let's take a picture of that. You know, we're getting to a place, especially after 2020, where people are really into home improvement. They're asking questions they never asked before. Like, let's show them exactly what it is. You want to talk about threading with me? Like gauge of threads on pipes? Like, I can talk ad nauseum, and that's something that our customers are getting more familiar with. So it's figuring out how to put in their face so they don't have to ask you as much too.
Another question I have is, can you give us an example on how to take a stab on concerns? We're a swimwear company.
Yeah, I mean, concerns for us are like, am I going to flood my house? Are my neighbors going to think I'm weird? I mean, I've had like, our box comes like branded, it says Tushy, you know, and I've had people like, I can't believe you did this. All my neighbors know now. And I'm like, they know you poop? Like, now they should be happy that you have a bidet, like this one woman from a law firm. But I think I've learned that when you share vulnerabilities, like people understand you more, they relate to you more. You know, Tushy has very slick branding, but like we're a very small company. And when you share these things like, oh my God, you guys put out this thing and it's not correct. Like, thank you so much. Like, you were the only one that saw this. Can I send you and ask me about my butthole shirt as a thank you? Like, we're a small team. Like, we're, you know, formed by real people that give a shit. And like, I am deeply appreciative of that. And so I think what I've learned in my career is also perfect ordering experiences, perfect delivery experiences, that everything goes according to the plan are usually by and large forgettable. When there's a flub and you reach out to my team and we treat you with deep care, like that is memorable. Like recently we have a toilet brush that comes with coconut husk scrubbing pads built into the stand and has a sticker on top. Well, a customer was like, oh my God, the sticker is impossible to get off. I wish it lifelong diarrhea. And I thought she was talking about our team. So we went on and to Amazon, we shipped her some Goo Gone to get the sticker off with like a clever note, like, please, we're trying to avoid the wrath of lifelong diarrhea. Like, hope this does it. And she was gone on vacation for a little while, but came back and was like, this is the most delightful experience ever. Like, this is insane. And that came from a place of like, this is a defect, right? Like the sticker in the warehouse, like the adhesive is way too strong. It shouldn't cause that. But that took like a crappy experience and it turned it into a really big positive that costs like $4.97. So it's figuring out like where you can turn these misses into wins, because when people feel seen, heard, cared for, like this parlays into lifetime customer loyalty. And so that's what I teach my team. Like, we're allowed to make any mistake, as you guys are all working at startups probably, where like, we're building the plane as we fly it. Like, that's okay. But when you can start to figure out like, what are the main concerns, as long as they're not putting you in a position of liability, like share that, you know, like this scent might be a little bit strong for you, but you know, if you know you take massive dumps, like this is going to be the good one. If you're looking for something, you know, like figuring out what people, yeah, it's instilling trust and keeping it real, you know, like being transparent and yeah.
Any insights, Connor?
I think the question was swimwear brand.
Yeah, well, so swimwear, I think, yeah, these are like, do I look good? Like I've heard about like video try-ons, and that's something that we do too, because we heard of a swimwear brand doing this, of like, do I look good? And it's like, oh, yeah, we could be doing that too. I mean, we're doing install, but it was like, oh, talk to a bidet concierge. Like, this is like a radical life change. Like, talk to my team. Like, they will answer any question that you think is TMI, because what everybody thinks is TMI is like, I poop. You're like, that's not TMI. I've seen some TMI.
Agreed. I would say leaning into the concern as well. I mean, I know with swimwear, people want to look good. That's why they're buying. We don't want to necessarily do anything that's going to jeopardize their confidence in that experience from the product. But we also know it's kind of hard to know exactly how something's going to fit in a virtual experience. You can say, you know, we know it's hard to find the right fit online. That's why we have XYZ resources. Also, that might not be enough. That's why we're here and can chat through it. So that's probably what I would lean into. Maybe not like other products where you can really stab at a concern specifically, but just sympathize with the fact that it's a difficult decision and offer your help there.
Yeah. And like to return policy, right? That's something we put front and center. Like whatever happens, like we have a 30-day like great return policy. Like we want to ensure booty bliss, but like rest assured, if this doesn't work, it's not for you. Like we've got your back. And I think just putting that, like we all know return policies are changing. Like ours used to be 60 days, now it's 30. And the world of logistics is very different, but when you just give them that reassurance, like, don't worry, we've got you, like, make the purchase, because for us, we need you to try it to understand what it's like, and try it for a little bit, probably similar to a swimsuit.
UGC is great, too, if you have UGC.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Up next, I'm going to invite Thomas up to the stage to quickly talk about AI, which is... Every time someone says AI, I'm going to take a shot. I'll be.
Yeah, so I mean, as you all know, we've talked about AI in the introduction and the keynote. It's definitely top of mind for everyone. In the spirit of what we do at Convert today, AI is not very present. We really capitalize on our initial chat campaigns that you guys might have known, and we've talked about all the different fine-grained segmentation. So I guess this is more almost like an open session. I'm really curious to pick anyone's brain if they have any ideas. I'll share a little bit about what we have in our minds, but I'll start with asking you, Ren. What do you think are the potential opportunities? Like, how can AI help you when it comes to the Convert product?
Yeah, I'm very excited about AI because I want my team of real pooping humans to have meaningful, purpose-driven work. And answering 150 times a day, where is my order on the tracking number that you already have, is probably not a value add for our customer base. But it is valuable to be able to parlay their robust knowledge into other facets of the business. So whether it's focusing on CX or assisting in marketing ops, all of my agents have been with me from the beginning unless I ask them to leave, and we have people that have been with us for 4 years. So their legacy knowledge is like so robust compared to a lot of our full-time teammates. And so they've moved to ops, they've moved to marketing, or it's like, okay, your marketing team is drowning and you need to do like a deep dive on this data and like figure out this Excel spreadsheet. Like, let's put a Puru on it. We are very much a Q4 business too. So like now we're in the lean time where we have a ton of things that we can do. We have Purus doing finance work. It's fantastic. And it gives them like a feeling of real inclusion in the business. We're not just bots responding to email. We are not email responders. Like, we are Purus and we can do anything. But then Q3, Q4 comes around and it's like, okay, how do I ramp up my team? And traditionally it was like, hire some more people. But this year I don't have to think about that because I can rely on the AI agent, because a lot of the tickets that are coming in that time are just Wizmos, right? Like, they're not necessarily, there's a huge, volume of customers, but a lot of that is not necessarily Puru work. I want them talking about toddler toilet training and how to install a bidet on the yacht, not what's your return policy that we've already shown them in 4 different places and is on their order confirmation, right? Like, it's valuable work.
Yeah, BFCM, we actually observe about a 2x increase in ticket volume and average across the board. Like, we literally see like the volume overall that really is it's insane. Yeah, so we've definitely seen that. In the case of AI for Convert, have you even had ideas about how AI can help you when it comes to the campaigns, either making decisions or the content? Have you come across of anything that comes to mind?
Well, I'm just thinking about the future of when it can look at all of these and like, what do I think my customers want versus what are they actually asking, and be able to come up with campaigns and anticipate customer needs in a different way that right now is very manual. And like, I feel like I'm constantly saying, anecdotally, we know that, and I don't want to be doing that. And so I think AI can do that in a really sophisticated way, but with a lot of human oversight that's more exciting and making sure it's on point. But yeah, I think like these campaigns are doing what an agent doesn't always think about, right? Like, we're talking to people like our best friend. And so if we can get to this level where the AI agent can be like, oh, hey, I noticed you bought this thing, in a thoughtful way, you should probably try this thing as well. Because my agents aren't necessarily going to speak in those terms because it's not natural, right? You're not like, oh, you love blue, Hannah. I bet you would love this blue nail polish. Like, we don't talk like that. And so it can insert it in a more perfect way where humans aren't necessarily thinking like that. It's like a perfect ticket, kind of.
Yeah, this is really I'm thinking like a theme, and like we've been thinking about this as well as ourselves, is that you're not shying away from the conversations, and instead you're welcoming them. You're like, I don't want to deflect the conversations. I want to actually have them come in, especially the meaningful ones. And one thing we've been thinking about with Convert is, I mean, this is what's unique about Gorgias. Like, you go to Klaviyo and you don't have an inbox in Klaviyo, so you will do outbound marketing, but you can't really respond to these conversations, or it can't start from an existing conversations either. And what we've noticed is that if you do outbound marketing with a marketing email, you'll get, a 5% open rate. But if you follow up from an existing conversation, potentially even a CX email, you'll get a 40 to 50% open rate, which is insane. And so one thing that we're looking into is re-engagement. How do you use AI to create these follow-ups that are very bespoke, very specific, because there's been a conversational history, there's been a purchase history. And so is this something that you guys are looking into or even doing today, following up after a specific conversation or after a specific purchase to your customers?
Yeah, we do that a lot. Specifically, like, as a young product company, like it's fundamental to us to learn from our customers. And so when we've heard some of these concerns, it's like, oh, the angle of the spray is a little bit off. Like right now, this is all manual, but it's like reaching out to everyone that bought during this date period, like, hey, we just updated this thing. Would you like to try a new, a prototype of this product and let us know how it goes? Like right now, that's all very manual. And so to get to a place where you could contact people in an authentic way to get their feedback or to get their buy-in, like, yeah, I would love for that. Like I'm very pro AI, but also very like human. And so it's finding this balance of like, I don't intend to replace any of my teammates with this tool. It's what can we do with this and how can they get to a higher level place to be thinking about these things that they're all thinking about it, but they're in the slog of tickets in the day-to-day. So like what is liberated when they don't have to be like upholding this, okay, I've got to do like 10 an hour.
Yeah, it's a really interesting piece as well. I think I want to talk a little bit about AI from a product perspective also. Sometimes I think the misconception is that, oh, the AI agent or what we've talked about on the main stage is like, I don't know, I'm sure everyone has maybe played or seen ChatGPT already. They've already logged in on the site, played around with it, tried to break it. People think we probably just dump the conversation data and just have ChatGPT run. That's really not how it works in the background. What we've done at Gorgias is really map out how the customer support workload looks like. So you open a ticket, you scan through it, you're like, okay, what language is this? What intent is it? What rules do I need to use or what actions do I need to take? And so the way our own Gorgias AI agent works is really mapping that kind of cognitive process. So it is actually 9 separate AI or like LLMs working in parallel, and each of the step will have a specific function. The first step is like, am I allowed to answer that ticket? Am I qualified to take this intent? What language is it? And it has like these different steps, and creating the response is only one of them. And I think that's something that we stressed a little bit, but we're not letting the AI do all the decisions. You have full control when it comes to, for instance, the actions. There is a hard condition, and if the condition isn't met because it's your company policy, the AI will not move forward with maybe a cancellation or a return. And one thing we're thinking about with Convert is, the way I put it is like ChatGPT built a 15-year-old brain that you can use, but we still have to learn our job. Like we probably were a bit similar at 15, but then we all specialized in our own careers and our own skill set, and now we're good at our job. And AI agents the same. We've built, a system that works to support conversations, meaning resolve conversation. I want to provide a resolution as fast as possible. With Convert, we want to create a similar experience, but from a sales perspective. Like, what is your goal? Is to convert, is to assist to finish the purchase process. And where we're moving forward with this is having a different set of skills or actions. Maybe you're a support agent, you can tap into returns and cancellation, but you cannot tap into discount code. But if you're a sales agent, you're going to tap into discount code, or maybe like if you're a subscription-based company, like a 1-year commitment, which will grant you like a different discount. So these are the things that we're really actively pursuing and looking into with Convert. So this is just to give you also some perspective on where we're going at. Any reactions or any ideas? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I think about certain things like subscription management, for example. You can set up rules to automate it by and large, but I think what happens to my team, that they're like wildly empathetic and compassionate, like I want to cancel. Like we don't always get the perfect reason versus if they go to the portal, right? Where like the AI agent will handle that with a plum, but also will probably upsell them like, oh, this didn't work for you. Like that's how I envision it working. And like some of the things that my team is great at making human connections. Like it might not be as perfect in the protocol or like the exact expectation where I think an AI agent would meet that to a T because the guidance is there and there's all the backstop to ensure. Like when I've been playing around with this, like my biggest concern is that, it would go AWOL and give people guidance that would be unhelpful or that they would flood their house, right? But you can build in all of these, if they say like, I need this spare part, this is where to find it. I need the spare part because my tushy is leaky, like leaky, water damage, any of these things, like that would never be taken by the AI agent. Like I want to make sure, it's probably hyperbole, but I want to make sure that like a human is looking at this. And a lot of what we're doing is based on photos, right? Like I can't really do this. And like, I think we will get there in some future, but like humans are required for some of this, but like they need to know the knowledge to be able to guide the AI agent to get there, right? So I think this fear that like AI is going to replace humans, like I don't feel like that now, because if you guys have used ChatGPT, like, check the math, right? It'll look like a legitimate sentence, but like the math might be wrong, right? We still have to oversee it, just like a 15-year-old. His frontal lobe is not developed. So I think it's like, yeah, not to be afraid of it, but this is where the world is going, and all of these repetitive tasks that we're like, if this changes, I think, our world a lot of like, this is not entry level, the lowest rung on the ladder. Like, we are sophisticated. Like, businesses these days without CX do not survive. You can make a white label brand. There's 10 of everything now, and the companies that survive are the ones that have really strong products and customer service experience to support that. I think this helps get us there.
Yeah, totally. I think that's really where we're leaning. Is we don't want to recreate a marketing product that's just like putting content in your face. Is really leveraging the power of AI and the power of conversations that we have and you have already in the help desk to really create these meaningful re-engagement or engagement. I know we're probably closing up to time, and we were hoping to maybe open it to Q&A. So if you have any questions, whether it's the prospective roadmap on Convert, whether it's the existing behavior, you can ask Ren. Any questions that anyone have, we'd be happy to take them. Yeah. Go ahead.
Does Convert hand off to agent? Like, if it gets,
We can repeat that. Yeah.
does Convert hand off to agents if it gets to the point where it can't handle what is being asked?
So Convert, they're like passive campaigns.
Yeah.
If you engage with it, you chat, and it starts a chat window.
Okay.
So it's like a way to get in people's face, and they only have to chat if they engage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can build rules.
It's being recorded
Well,
too, so
microphone issues here. So you can build rules. So if somebody engages with a campaign in a certain way, if they reply to it, just like anything else in Gorgias, any other ticket, you can tag it, you can assign it to a person, a particular team. So what we're seeing more and more is people are creating like standalone sales teams, so that when you are doing what you're trying to do, which is generate an interested conversation, you don't let the moment pass. You actually have a quick way to escalate that to the appropriate person and have a timely conversation.
Today, Convert is not natively built with the AI agent. What we're going to do when I was talking about that sales AI assistant is probably going to build a separate brain, train on being a salesperson to be connected to the campaign so that when someone responds, that'll take that. So what happens today, if someone starts to click respond to a campaign, it'll generate a regular support ticket on the chat channel. In a few weeks, I can't say when, we'll have AI agent on chat, and for sure you can't set these exclusion topics. If you want to even go push it at the limit, every response to a campaign, you can set a rule. So we have a tag called AI_ignore. So any ticket that is stacked with that will be completely overlooked by the AI. So it will just directly be in your queue for your team. So for instance, if that's a concern, you could always set that and just have a kind of a safeguard to make sure that the AI doesn't take these pre-sales questions. So that's also another way to do it. I think we had a question in the back, and then we're going. All right.
Thank you. So I'm just wondering if it's in the roadmap at all to have the convert function more like a flow, or have that ability so that we can have multi-steps within the convert campaign.
So it is so from a product perspective, it's really interesting what happened in the last 12 months. I think we all come from a world of what in-house we call heuristic-based or flow-based automation, which is you have buttons and you control the full outcome, because if someone clicks on that, I'll show this content and then I'll show this button, and it's very deterministic, right? With AI, you have what people call generative experiences, so it's a little bit less predictable. But the question that we're really asking ourselves is what is the future of flows? Because ultimately, flows is encoding your business logic, because you're scripting in a way what you want a customer to follow. But if you're writing this in a piece of guidance that the AI can just follow, do you actually need to build the flow? And so to your point, yes, there's kind of an obvious route to say, let's just do multi-step campaign. But then it's kind of type form, right? You just have these maybe quiz or surveys or whatever. But should we maybe leapfrog in a world where you prompt for each campaign what you expect the conversation to be when someone engages with that campaign, and let the AI, with some guardrail, run the conversation? So it's a more fluid experience, even more immersive. So it is an honest question. I'm very happy to talk about that, because we don't know. AI is so new. We are investing massively in the generative approach, so I think that's our first inclination today. So we're not looking into bringing the flows just yet into Convert, and we want to run an experiment on how good we can get it with generative experiences. But yeah, if we feel the performances are not there, we're probably going to default to a traditional flow-based logic or flow-based multi-step campaigns. I think we had a question right here. And then
Is Gorgias AI going to be implemented within Convert, or is it going to be an additional product that we sign up for?
Yeah, so this is also a very interesting thing. I know for some of you, pricing is a very sensitive topic, and Gorgias has always been usage-based. This is one of the specificity of Gorgias. Like, we've always charged based on volume, which is also something that is a bit, I would say controversial. Like, you come from a other, competitor, they're seed-based, Zendesk, Gladly, you name it, they're all seed-based. But what's interesting is that AI products are all usage-based. So you're not start to see companies like Intercom or Gladly or Zendesk, they'll release these AI agent products, and they're also usage-based. So now you have two models. So where I'm going with that is that Gorgias from the get-go has always been usage-based, and our AI capabilities will always be included in the existing products. So for instance, the AI agent that we disclosed today, it's not an additional product that you have to pay for. It's already included in the Automate product, and it's just the same pricing model. It will unlock, by default, by July 1st, you'll have access to the whole suite of AI agent capabilities. And when it comes to Convert, it'll be the same. So we will introduce the AI capabilities as part of the existing Convert experience and not charge for an additional product. Yeah, go ahead. Then on the left. Okay, so you had a question.
Hi. Quick question. So there was this Convert feature that was recently pulled away called Show Campaign Individually. Is there a plan to replace that with maybe an AI feature that triggers the campaign at the right time or doesn't allow for overlap?
So it says show campaign individually in the sense that like it only showed once, or?
So that the campaigns did not overlap. So if there was a general campaign and a specific campaign and the conditions overlapped, you wouldn't get a double pop-up.
I think we removed it because we built it natively. I think we've hard-coded the fact that like campaigns can never collide. So I think initially we had like built in the conditions, like some sort of warning, and to your point, like I say, like a toggle. Mm-hmm. But then we realized like, why do we have a toggle? Like campaigns should never collide. And so we hard built it in the logic for Convert. I think what happens, if I'm not mistaken, is that if there's multiple campaigns, we allow only 3. So what people will see is you'll see one, and then the next one will show like almost like a card deck, I guess. And you'll only be able to see 3. So if you click, the 3 campaigns will show stacked back to back, but that's it, like not more than 3. So I think what we've decided to do is instead of making it an option, we've decided to just hard code it to simplify the setup and just make sure that we never, like I'd say, pollute the space for the shoppers and take too much screen real estate. So. But I mean, if that's not working for you, I'd love to hear why, and I'd love to understand what we could do differently.
Sure. Thank you.
So that feedback I actually got too. So we're looking into maybe adding like the priority list so that a customer, you add like if they match XYZ condition, then only present this one. So we can definitely chat more about that. But yeah, it's something that we've gotten feedback for in the past as well. So we're definitely exploring.
Hi, I have a question that's more kind of just in terms of what's your point of view, and I don't know if this is compliance or just a general issue, on how how you want the AI agent to present itself to the consumer and how the consumer responds to that in terms of making it seamless. Is it AI? Is it a live agent? We're now talking in a more conversational way. Are we pretending from a company perspective that we're real, or how do we manage that, and what's your point of view on it?
I'll give the kind of official version, and then I'll let like Ren from a brand perspective, because it is a brand question. Yeah. So from a product perspective at Gorgias, the reality is that there are very likely very soon going to be some legal requirements on how we disclose AI like engagements. I know in Europe, there's already been some talks around enforcing the disclosure of like, hey, this is an AI that's coming to you, or that's an AI generated, even on videos and images. Like they're actually starting to potentially introduce some specific disclosure, I don't know, whatever disclaimer. So the approach that we've taken at Gorgias is to make sure that from the get-go you can choose, because depending on how you want the experience to be, you might want to make it feel like if it's a human, and that's your prerogative. These regulations don't exist today, so you have the option. As simple as like right now in the product, you can edit the signature, either just right there and disclaim that it's an AI, and you can also prompt the AI to present itself as a specific person or a specific AI agent. So you can set a guidance that says, whenever you engage, disclose that you are an AI agent or an AI bot or, I don't know, an AI trained brand person, whatever it is. But yeah, so I think because of these legal requirements, we anticipate that Europe and California are probably going to be the first two, because historically, if we think of GDPR and CCPA, they're the ones that have introduced the most, like in terms of data regulations, they've been the first to introduce that. So we've always been a bit on the cautious side at Gorgias to just give the option. But I'll let Ren take it from a brand perspective in terms of like what that means for your brand and how you want to do it.
Yeah, I have a strong opinion here just as a personal pet peeve. I hate talking to a bot that I don't know is a bot, right? And we see, like, we're all used to this, but we also see how that parlays into our human interactions, right? All the time on chat, it's like, return status, and my agents like to get cheeky, like, hey, Ken, it looks like you're checking in about a return. Like, happy to help you with this, right? It's like, it's not a bot. And so I think we've seen a lot of experiences, like our auto response, when you send an email, we literally had to put at the top, this is an auto response, because older people that aren't aware of this are like, that was so callous. I said my mother died and you didn't even listen to me. And it's like, that was an auto response. We'll get back to you soon. And so I think like the bot, we've chosen to call it the TUSHY Robot, R-O-B-U-T-T, and undoubtedly there will still be people that don't get it. But I think to me it's important to understand, like, when are you talking to a real person versus not? Because I have colleagues that have worked at companies where every CX agent is called Lisa. The founder of the company is Lisa. So we're all like fictitiously conversing with Lisa, and it's so great. And then when you realize, wait, that wasn't Lisa. Like, you were trying to feel like Lisa gives a shit and she's talking to you, and that builds such trust and loyalty. What does it do when you discover it wasn't Lisa? Like, that degrades everything. And so when you're transparent of like, we are doing this to give you the best possible experience, but shit can happen. So like, there's also real pooping humans. You want to talk to a human? Like, we will make that happen, and this is the way. But I think transparency to me like builds trust. And sometimes it's sharing like, not everything is perfect. We're doing this and we know it's maybe not as good, but that's my personal take.
I think it just connects really well with what you said earlier. Like, the very perfect experience is often a forgettable one.
Right.
And like we talked about vulnerabilities, that's what's memorable. It's like, we're not recommending that you have a dent in every product you ship so that you can follow up.
Yeah.
That could be a cool brand experience. But anyway, point being is like, yeah, you just want to be personable, relatable, and we just want to give you guys the option to choose.
Oh, in the interest of time, lunch is actually ready, but we'll be around for any kind of questions if you want to talk to us personally. That'd be great. Yeah. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Lunch is ready. If you have any questions, come talk to us. If you want to demo a Convert, we can give you a link as well after this. So thank you.